Hello, and welcome to our Literacy Principles Parent Coffee. We are excited to share both state and school based literacy information to help you better understand how literacy instruction works, the resources and supports available, and what the ALA block can look like for your child. But before we dive in, meet your literacy leadership team at Oak Street Elementary. We have Dr. Carol Felderman, who is a reading specialist. We have Sarah Pond, the reading interventionist, and then myself, Dr. Ann Baleto. I am the pre-K 12 literacy coordinator for our division. If you have any literacy questions or just want to talk literacy, you are welcome to reach out to us. Our contact information will be shared on the last slide. So this is our agenda for presentation. I am going to give you a general overview of the state expectations of the Virginia Literacy Act. I'll talk a little bit about Year 2 implementation of Amplify CKLA. Dr. Carol Felderman will give you an idea of what an ELA block can look like. Sarah Pond will talk about assessment and interventions, and then we'll share some resources and tools with all of you. So we'll begin with our state expectations. The Virginia Literacy Act, most known as the VLA, is a legislation that was signed into law in 2022 and implemented in the beginning of school year 2024-2025. Its purpose is to improve literacy outcomes for Virginia's young learners by aligning instruction to reading research under the science of reading. A year after the VLA was passed for grades kinder through third grade, the state extended it to grades 4 through 8. Now, last year we implemented year 1 of the VLA, and this year we're implementing the VLA extension for our grades 4 through 8. So, what does this mean for Oak Street Elementary? Well, one, when you're thinking about state-approved curriculum, by law under VLA, we are required to use a state-approved curriculum or teaching methodology aligned to the science of reading. During our textbook adoption process in school year 2023-2024, we selected Amplify CKLA for both Mount Daniel and Oak Street for our kinder through 5th grade students. We began implementing Amplify last school year, so we are now in year 2 of the program. Second, supplemental programs and interventions. They must also be state approved. For Tier 2 instruction, which is delivered by classroom teachers, we are using LexiaCore 5, which is a hybrid literacy program. And for Tier 3 instruction, we are using Amplify M-Class, along with the IMSI or in Gillingham or morphology-based practices. Third, literacy screener, which is known as the Virginia Language and Literacy Screener System, or VALLSS. Our state required literacy screener. This is for students for grades 3 to 8. Students may be screened if they are 1, new to the division, 2, they did not pass the reading SOL in the previous school year. They scored in the high-risk band on VALLSS in spring of 2024, or they scored below the 20th percentile on STAR reading. Parents may also request screening for their child even if the student does not meet the above criteria. Next, we have the student reading plans. The state requires student reading plans, or known as the SRPs, for students identified through VALLSS, the SOL scores from spring 2025, or STAR reading, as needing additional literacy support. These plans outline the targeted literacy skills, the programs being used, and the teachers providing support. And then when we think about professional development, all our kinder through 8th grade administrators, general education classroom teachers, and content teachers are required to participate in state training to strengthen their knowledge of the science of reading, the Virginia Literacy Act, and the evidence-based literacy practices. And lastly, We are required to provide parents with literacy resources to support your child from home. And we'll share those resources and tools in one of our later slides. Now I will pass this to Dr. Carol Felderman, who will talk a little bit more about ELA at Oak Street.
Hi, my name is Carol Felderman, and I'm the reading specialist at Oak Street. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the language arts block throughout the day, whether it's third, fourth, or fifth grade. What we're looking at is in the past 2 years, we've been putting together our instruction to align with an explicit and systematic instruction form, and that has come through the Amplify curriculum that I'm sure many of you have heard about. With that entails having great read alouds, either from the curriculum or just a great book that the kids can enjoy with their teachers together. We have a lot of reading comprehension that goes along with the read alouds, just about how they're understanding if the author's point is coming across clearly, if they understand the implicit and explicit types of language in the various texts, and just if they understand who's in the story and what's happening and what the problem is and how it was solved. Next, we also are looking closely at grammar, and very specifically do the grammar and I'm going to say writing mechanics, just to make sure we know where the period goes at the end of a sentence. Do we have the mechanics down that we need a capital? Yes, it sounds basic, but yep, we still need reminders. But beyond that, we're looking more at how do we, and this as an adult, I still mess up. How do you properly punctuate conversations in your writing, or understand how to read a conversation or a cited text in writing and text, and how to apply that. So next up, we also are looking at morphology much closer in grades 3 through 5. In third grade, we're still reviewing some of the phonics work that they worked really hard with over at Mount Daniel and in grades K through 2. But now as we move into the older grades, we're going to start taking the words apart, and let's look at what our prefixes and suffixes can do to change the meaning of a word. It can be just as basic as that, or it can be, what is this Latin derivative do to understand the vocabulary and how it is it's actually part of our English language and where our language comes from. And then, like I said, we're looking at writing, which will encompass most of the above and everything I've said. We want to get our writers writing about topics they love and have passion about, but also we need to know exactly how can I best portray what I want to say. So do the kids understand a paragraph needs a topic sentence? We need to have some details to support that sentence. And then how are we going to wrap that up? Yes, that's just one paragraph, and obviously that will extend further as we get into grades 4 and 5 especially, and then in 5th grade, especially when we're looking at some of the even bigger writing assignments that they'll need to understand how to do before they move into middle school. So with that, I hope you understand that we have a good time in our language arts blocks. It's always full of either quiet time because kids are reading to themselves, or they're writing a story, or they're listening to a story. Or it can be a lively time where they're practicing readers' theater to make sure they understand how to read their scripts, or talking with a friend on how to solve and have a conversation about a story or about a book. So I obviously am very excited about language arts, and I look forward to being in all the classrooms as much as possible this year. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Pond, and I am the reading interventionist at Oak Street. I'm going to be explaining assessments, student reading plans, and intervention here at Oak Street. At the beginning of the year, a select number of students at Oak Street take the VALLSS, which stands for Virginia Language and Literacy Screening System. The VALLSS is a state assessment that helps determine students' level of risk for developing reading difficulties. So in third grade, students who were in the high risk band at the end of second grade or below the 20th percentile on STAR reading will take the VALLSS. At fourth and fifth grade, students who were in the high risk band in the previous grade on VALLSS, those who did not pass the previous year's reading SOL or are below the 20th percentile on STAR, take the VALLSS. Once we have that data from that assessment, the literacy team then determines who needs a student reading plan. In third grade, this is the students who fall in the high risk band on VALLSS. For fourth and fifth graders, again, it's the students who received a fail basic or fail below basic on the Virginia Reading SOL, or fell in the high risk area on the code-based sections of VALLSS. Those are the students who will get a plan. Student reading plans are an outline of an individualized instruction, and those are shared with parents after the assessments are complete and after the plans have been written. Students who have student reading plans will receive the intervention based on their needs. And at Oak Street, we use Amplify MClass, IMSC, and UFly decodable passages, Orton Gillingham methodologies, and Lexia for these students. And then for some students, we use Dibbles to monitor their progress.
So in year 2 of Amplify CKLA, these are the things that we're currently doing. One, we're continuing to integrate and align our CKLA units with our PYP units because we all know we are an IB division. We're continuously updating our grade level pacing calendars to ensure that we're meeting the needs of all the students and meeting state expectations and requirements. We continue to align the SOLs with our CKLA units, our lessons, and assessments. We are providing differentiation for all learners. We have ongoing support and partnership with our reading specialists, the general education classroom teachers, our ESOL teachers, and special education teachers as well. And we also have ongoing coaching support from our reading specialist, our reading interventionist. We also work closely with our PYP coordinator and our social studies and science coordinators, and all of that integrates and aligns with our CKLA units. And of course, with myself as the division-wide literacy coordinator, I support everyone in the school building and all the specialists and coordinators as well. If you would like state and school-based literacy information, here is a list of resources for our families and for the community that you may find helpful. When you click on the different websites, you will find state-approved resources and tools. If you click on the FCCPS literacy website, you'll find all the information about VLA, our textbook adoption, and the process that we went through, our division literacy plan for our kinder through 8th grade, and all other information resources on our website, and then all the point of contact for the literacy team across our division. And lastly, we'd like to thank you for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions or would like to talk more about literacy, because we love to talk about literacy, our email addresses are listed on this slide. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. Thank you again, and we look forward to our continued partnership and to working with your child to ensure that all students move from learning to read to reading to learn. Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to connecting with you soon.